Thanks. Welcome everyone to Global Purpose Speaks. I'm your host, DJ Taz Rashid, and I'm a musician who travels to mindful festivals and events all throughout the world. And one of my passions is to have conversations with transformational leaders, learn about their unique missions and how they're changing the world. This talk series is created in partnership with Global Purpose Movement, which is a collective of change makers convening and co-creating in our Earth's current shift towards a world that's working for everyone. And today we're speaking with Todd Jason, who is the founder and CEO of Amplifield. And it's a revolutionary platform that aims to connect people from all over the world via meditation and prayer. And previously, Todd co-founded Sacred Media LLC, which produced a groundbreaking 10-week online course called the Superhuman Operating System, based on the work of legendary philosopher Ken Wilber. And then also from 2008 till about 2013, Todd served as marketing consultant to lots of different organizations and thought leaders, including Eckhart Tolle, the Thrive Movie, Evolving Wisdom, Integral Life, and Sounds True. Todd, it's great to have you on the show with us. Let's jump in.
Yeah, man. Thanks, DJ Tez. Good to be here.
You got it. Well, since these are short interviews, tell our viewers a little bit more in detail what exactly is the Amplifield, and how'd you get the idea to get started with it?
Well, the Amplifield is really the culmination of a lot of the things that I've been doing on the work front over many years. The idea came to me in 2010 while I've been meditating with brainwave entrainment or binaural beat sound technologies for a long time. And I was on this website called DJ.fm, which is now defunct. It was a monumental failure in business, actually. But what you could do on DJ.fm was create your own room and be a DJ. And then you could invite people to have like a little DJ party on there. And it was thriving. There was millions of people on DJ.fm. And I thought, well, why don't I do that for more spiritual oriented music and technologies? Bringing in brainwave entrainment music, allowing people to kind of like sync frequencies, because that's what these technologies allow people to do.
Yeah.
And kind of create a more spiritual version of that. And that was like the impetus of the idea, which then sat dormant. I was working on other things. And then in 2013, I broke my leg. And that's when I started working on the Amplifield. And, the general idea, or what it's morphed into now, let's speak very present moment right now, is that more than ever, the world needs more sacred spaces, whether they're physical or whether they're in the, digital environment. And so my focus, one of my life's mission has always been around the question of how we can up-level the consciousness of our world and humanity through the internet, using the technology and using this incredible web of interconnectedness that suddenly manifested on the planet not so long ago.
Exactly.
And say, okay, how do we actually use this incredible tool and consciously up-level humanity, right? So the Amplifield is a very direct play into that, meaning that the idea of creating a digital temple, a place that we can go to pray, to listen to great events, to actually see each other where we are in the world, to share intentions or prayers, to actually create I hate using the word social network because this is really more of a sacred space, but to have social networking
Sacred
features.
network.
A sacred network. Yeah, exactly. This is important, and this is timely and it's relevant. And I think that it's one of the most important things that we could be doing, is to infuse our digital worlds with the type of love and compassion and healing and peace and qualities we want to see. Because that's how we change the world from the inside out, by actually going into consciousness itself through the sharing of music, the things that you do, right? And the sharing of teachings and Dharma talks. And actually create community containers around it where we can then kind of amplify or accelerate the experience because we're together with like-minded folks. And that's the game that we're playing.
That's amazing. And so, as I was reading some of the things that you've done, how did you, because, you've been doing this for a little while now, but how did you get into the mindful business? Because, it is it's not typical, the regular business front that's out there. I know you're in California, and there's more of this out there than say Chicago, where I'm at, different parts of the country. But how did the path lead you to these kinds of sacred circles?
Yeah, well, I'm a New Yorker, so I'm from New York. I was living in Manhattan, and I came out of college at the time when the first internet bubble manifested. So
Mm-hmm.
I was fortunate that I started working for a big internet tech company in New York called DoubleClick, and I worked there for 4 years, 1997 to 2001. So I was just a young, kind of professional guy that got lucky and was working in the right time. And then I found myself running away from falling buildings on September 11th, 2001, and, witnessed many friends die, and I lived downtown in Manhattan.
Wow.
And it was that event which, of course, shook me up to the core, but then eventually had me asking the bigger questions, in 2002, 2003, when I was trying to reconcile, like, how could that happen? The problems in the world aren't somewhere out there in the Middle East. They're right here. And why are human beings doing this? And what type of anger and frustration and hatred is present, not only somewhere out there, but in me, that's causing our collective system to manifest things like this. So I started seeking, around that time. And that's when I started meditating and taking all kinds of courses and going really deep. I got certified in holistic health. I went through the landmark.
Wow.
I started reading every single book that I could. A lot of people start with like Deepak Chopra books because he's famous. But yeah, that's what I did. I was on the subway like all those other, guys and girls like with their New York Times kind of, but like behind the New York Times, I was reading Deepak Chopra because I was embarrassed because I wasn't sure that was okay.
It was a secret for me. It was like 2007-ish. That was, it was one of those books like Deepak Chopra was out there. Like you could find it in like the bestsellers kind of thing, but it had some of these deeper underlying, ideas that were floating around at that time.
Totally.
Yeah.
And for me, when in 2004, 2005, I started working on a movie called The Shift, which was naming this shift. And I got very involved in it. And I raised money for it and all this. And then I got introduced. I went down to Costa Rica. I'll never forget this. And for the movie, for Deepak's Alliance for New Humanity, which isn't around anymore. But that's when I saw that there was people all over the world that were actually doing this for work.
Right.
I was like, oh my God, like I can do this for work.
Yeah.
And so because I was a marketing kind of guy, I understood digital technology and digital marketing. I became like the go-to guy for, marketing, online for people that were here to tell a new story or that were teachers or that were, meditation or spiritual practitioners. And so I've always been attracted to the big meta narrative in terms of what is really happening from the very grand global scale. So that's why I've been attracted to things like the Shift movie or the Thrive movie or, I did my own web series called Worldwide Tipping Point. I'm very attracted to the larger story of what's happening. But my work has always been around, how can I be of service for the awakening of humans and for people and for groups? And that's what I'm here to do. And I'm using my unique skills the best I can to contribute to that. Now, the Amplifield is a big play in that because we don't have platforms like this yet, conscious platforms that have in the DNA itself a higher level of consciousness embedded. And I think this is the future. But that's where I come from. I come from witnessing real pain and suffering in my own life and trying to transcend that and understand where that comes from internally first and then to be an expression positively later. So
that's a good segue. So going into the Amplifield a little bit more, you were talking about how it's different, so there are different platforms out there right now for, say, meditation prayer. I can't name any names right now, but I know there's out there. Like, how would you say, like, what's unique about your platform? Like, let's talk a little bit about that, and so viewers can know, because I'm sure a lot of our viewers know of different platforms out there. So, like, what sets it aside in the Amplifield?
Well, I mean, so it's no secret that meditation and mindfulness practice is now like mainstream. It's been on the cover of New York, or it's been on the cover of Time magazine. Mindfulness has 3 times in the last 2 or 3 years. So this is great, and there's apps, there's meditation apps popping up all over the place.
Exactly.
Headspace is the biggest one that raised $37 million in VC a couple of years ago. And that was a big thing because it was the first time that something like this has raised a lot of money from real business people, venture capital. Mm-hmm. And so now you have a lot of people chasing that opportunity. Meditation is becoming more mainstream. It's in a lot of ways following yoga, that emerged in the 90s and and even before that. And so there's a business now forming around meditation. And so what you have is a lot of apps, and a lot of them are great, that allow you to practice for your 10 minutes a day or your 20 minutes a day, and they guide you and all that. And you're still sitting there alone and you're meditating, because that's what meditation is. It's, subjectively, you're doing this, yourself. Fantastic, right? Now, what we're doing, we've taken a different path, and we're not really a meditation app. We're really creating a platform. We have created a platform that allows people to connect via mindful events. So we host a lot of events. I interview people just like we're doing. Mm-hmm. And then I allow these people to guide us into meditation. And we use moments of synchronization, where we come together as a community and pray or meditate, to certain brainwave entrainment music. Or if there's a big event happening in the world, like Standing Rock, we did huge events for Standing Rock, mm-hmm. where the community, thousands of us, came together on this platform and meditated, guided to somebody or some music that was leading us into a place of helping to raise the vibration of what was happening at Standing Rock. It's subtle energy, is what the Amplifield is. It's using the community to connect subtly in this field or in this kind of subtle frequency. And it's an experiment of saying, well, can we make a difference in the world? Now, there's history of this, right? The Maharishi effect is very famous, that happened in the 90s, that said, all right, a group of people meditating together can actually have an impact in the real world. The Washington, posted a whole series of articles on it.
Yeah.
So the Amplifield is very different because it's not so much of a tool that you can use, Taz, or you listening can say, all right, I'm going to meditate every day for 20 minutes using these guided meditations. You can do that on here. However, it's really more about these events and these moments of time that the community comes together, and we say, no, we're in this together. And it's really more about prayer than it is about meditation per se. Now, you can meditate on there, but we're really saying, let's come together and create group intentions, create group prayers where we're trying to actually get something done. That hasn't really been done before. Yeah. It's like a digital temple or a digital church or a digital mosque or whatever you want to call it in your vernacular, but it's a digital sacred space that we're using, intentionally to up-level the consciousness of our world. And that's what's unique about it.
That's amazing. And as far as this year, I know you guys are doing a big relaunch, and tell us a little about that. Like what's new in this relaunch and the version 2.0, I guess. That you guys.
Well, you'll be on it. You'll be on it very soon. Yeah. Right? I interviewed you, by the way, everybody. I interviewed DJ Taz and Jennifer Grace, beautiful teacher. Together, we did a really powerful event. So, that's going to be cool. Mm-hmm. So we launched what we call like the beta or the MVP, minimal viable product. And basically, it was a platform where we could host events and we could moments in time. We ran about 80 events over the last year, all kinds of events, and people come together. But there was no continuity. There's no business really around it. The new platform is very different. So we still have this notion of our digital temple, which runs a continuous series of events, right? So we have events all the time. We have daily rituals for gratitude, daily gratitude circle. All kinds of events are running. So you can plug into this thing when we launch it, and you can be assured that there's an event running that you'll want to plug into. Second thing that's different is that we're now giving people the ability to create their own events. So if you want to get together with a group of friends every morning and meditate at 9 o'clock to some meditation that's on the app, like a Jack Kornfield gratitude meditation, you can do that. You can create your own space, invite your friends, and come on there. So it's really now more of a platform that people can use. It's like Facebook groups on steroids, in some sense. It's like a spiritual Facebook group platform where you can now say, all right, we're all in this together. We're on this platform, and we're using this to kind of connect, on these events. And what's really unique about it, and you'll see it, very soon when we release it, is that we really created the idea of a community player. So you can listen to media and you can share media and rebroadcast any event on the app. And when you do that, you automatically can share it with friends. So that way you're listening and experiencing it together. And that's what's really unique about this. So we're excited. And that's why I was talking with you about getting some of your music on there, because we can also start it has a natural viral loop where people can naturally share and rebroadcast, and then it's a community player. Yeah. So I know it's a little bit ambiguous what I'm saying. It'll be much easier when you all see it, which is soon, by the way.
What is the date that is there a date?
Well, we're doing this right now, January 4th, 2017, right? Yeah. We're planning on having the platform relaunched in less than 2 weeks.
Wow.
So
Okay.
when we're starting to run a lot of events,
This may be live right around then, so it'll be
yeah.
perfect.
So you might be, if you're listening now, this might already be live, and you can go to amplifield.com and you can just log in, register for free.
Okay.
Everything's free right now on the app, and you can go in there and start playing with it. And we want you to, because that's what we're here to do.
Yeah, and we'll share all those links as well. I was going to ask you, from your experience, you've had a lot of great exposure to the mindful community from working with all these different leaders all over the world, and also in the technological standpoint. I mean, from your perspective, in the next, let's say, 2 to 5 years, because technology is moving at the speed it's moving, what can you say, this projection, to the public, like what can you see really taking place in the digital front with mindfulness? Like how's it gonna, because I love to hear, and I've heard so many different perspectives, but I love to hear where you're coming from in that angle.
So the thing about technology, and like many of us, I'm somebody who's really worked in the technology space for a long time, and is also really deeply, on the path, the spiritual path of waking myself up, right? And so there's a lot of us now doing this. One of the things that's been interesting about technology is that while it's made the world a smaller place, and Facebook, about 6 months ago touted that there was 1 billion people in one day connected on Facebook. I mean, that's like sick, right?
It's crazy.
1 billion people.
It's amazing.
People are all like, is there going to be a tipping point? Well, Facebook's a tipping point, right? Like that is really giving us the ability to be connected, and so that's not a bad thing. It's part of the evolution of what's happening. What I predict, what we see is that the problem is that even though there's 1 billion people connected, there's this other side to it that it's making us feel more isolated and more disconnected at the same time. And there's all these studies on this, that while like the technology is like ubiquitous and it's here and we're all connected on Facebook, I have 4,000 friends on Facebook, the experience that many people are having is that we're isolated and we actually feel more disconnected than ever before. Technology is not going away, Taz, right? So it's just not going to go away. So what is going to emerge, and what the Amplifield is, one of those things that's naming this, is to the creation of technologies that will actually have us feel more connected, more emotionally connected, through great content, through features that we can now use of video and live broadcast, and music and content that actually makes us feel more connected. And so what we're going to see, and I can almost guarantee it over the next 5 years, is all kinds of different plays that will solve the problem of disconnection that we all have, while it's being wrapped in the bubble of connection, because there's a disconnect in there somewhere. And so we're going to see the emergence of all kinds of things that will really help us feel more connected to each other, that will really try to, because this is where it's got to go. Otherwise, it won't work.
Otherwise, it's like, what's the point?
What's the point, right? So the Amplifield is a really good example of this, right? Like when we're building it, everything we're doing is like, what is going to give people the emotional feeling of being connected, of being happy? Because sometimes I go on Facebook and these things, like, and I just feel awful. I there's something wrong. Like I feel anxious, or like everyone's life is so good and mine is so bad. I mean, there's all these things that go on with Facebook and Twitter and these things. Twitter I won't even go on, Yeah. So that's what I predict. We're going to really see an influx of connective technologies, attempts to really make us feel better. Emotional intelligence is going to emerge as opposed to cognitive. We're going to really try to get into the heart more, or we should, but this is where I believe it's going.
And technology can amplify this in the way to amplify the emotional expansion.
Absolutely. It can, and that's what we're going to do.
Yeah, that's really nice to hear. A lot of times I've heard the conversation going towards a virtual reality kind of like conversation, but what you're sharing something a little bit more unique, and I really appreciate that. So let's just for the audience, why don't you tell us again, like, how do people get involved? What should they look out for? The website again, and if there's any other platforms other than the website they should be on.
For me, it's simple. I'm all in on the Amplifield. Our team is all in on it. It's a great business. You can visit it at, www.amplifield.com. So it's like amplified with an L. So the idea of the name is around that we have this digital field that we can amplify, and bring a higher level of consciousness into. So we're amplifying the field is the name. And you can go there and you log in. It's free, like I said, and you go in and check it out. You listen to some events. And help us, there'll be kinks. It's a new tech.
Yeah.
So there'll be things that aren't perfect and it won't look as great as you might want it to, but this is the first stages of something that really, I believe, holds an important key to helping people feel better, in this crazy world of technology. So that's how you get in touch.
That's amazing. Todd, Jason from Amplifield, thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you everyone for joining another episode of Global Purpose Speaks. I'm your host, DJ Taz Rashid. And again, this talk series is created in partnership with Global Purpose Movement, which is a collective of change makers convening and co-creating in the globe's current shift towards a world that's working for everyone. You can join the conversation at globalpurposemovement.com. And we'll see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you.